Hey guys, and welcome to the Working Money Channel. Here's Bitcoin on the weekly. Right now we're trading at about $38,500. You can see over the last several weeks now we've seen a bearish trend to the downside. And this is the zoomed out chart here again on the weekly. However, we're still seeing higher lows, guys. We haven't gotten below this level yet, although it is getting mighty close. Take a look at that there. Still trading on low volume though. Let me throw it here on the daily real quickly. You can see that trend. You can see it dip down. It did wick down, hit that trend line. Now it's back up. So it did go as low as about 38.2. Now it's back up to about 38.6. Okay, so we've got Bitcoin here getting people a little anxious, I think. Crypto market cap is down to 1.77 trillion. But guys, look at the dominance. The dominance here still at 41.3%. Bitcoin's down a little bit. Ethereum is down a little bit. But guys, look at the other altcoins. They're down significantly more, like Solana down 6.3. XRP is down 7.3. We've got cryptos like Avalanche down 6.7%. Polkadot is down 7.5. So, the market is, although it is teetering a little bit, ultimately, it is still following Bitcoin, and we can really note that here by the Bitcoin dominance. The Bitcoin dominance still hasn't really moved. XRP, one of those cryptocurrencies that has taken the brunt of the fall. So I've got XRP up here on the daily, trading at 65 cents, 65 and a half cents. Boy, we've had quite a down day. But, despite this, nothing that's too out of the ordinary. Even on the daily chart, XRP is still making higher lows. We have not gotten below the 50 cent level. It could retest. I mean, I'm not going to lie to you. It could retest down to 50 cents. And then we'll see what it does here before it breaks back up. Or if it goes back down, that would be bearish, of course, breaking below that 50 cent level. That's the critical point for XRP, but we're still not there yet. And guys, even looking at this today, I know we tend to look at the micro level frequently, but I don't want to ever get too caught up in the micro level trends. The macro level is always where we should be putting our focus on, unless we're really day trading cryptocurrencies, which maybe some of you guys are, but I'm certainly not day trading. This is a long hold for me, and we're going to get into some insight with regards to the macro trend later on in this video. First, I wanted to mention this. BondCrypt XRP posted this with regards to the use of cryptocurrencies in the US specifically. They are forecasted to rise by 70% in 2022. So just, pay attention to what investors are doing globally, where the focus is at. Despite the ups and downs, the small price swings every single day, we are still seeing an overall positive trend for cryptocurrencies. So 3.6 million people are forecasted to pay for goods with cryptocurrencies this year. Germany has been chosen as the most crypto-friendly country in Q1 of 2022. And guys, we are seeing that trend expand to the US. Cryptocurrency adoption in the United States is picking up the pace in 2022, according to a survey by Insider Intelligence that was reported in The Street. 10.7% of US crypto owners will use their cryptocurrencies for payments. Now, I don't know if this is because inflation is getting out of control. Maybe some people are realizing, maybe I shouldn't have put so much money into cryptocurrencies back in 2020 or 2021 or whenever they decided to buy cryptocurrencies. I'm going to actually need some of this money to pay for goods and services because things are just getting so darn expensive. So this could be part of the reason. However, it's kind of a nice happy accident for the crypto industry because that reflects more crypto payments, more crypto utility, and therefore more crypto liquidity. The use of crypto payments in 2022 is expected to increase by 70%. Approximately 3.6 million people are forecasted to pay for goods and services with their cryptocurrencies in the upcoming year. Additionally, more than 33.7 million people are expected to adopt cryptocurrencies by the end of 2022. So very interesting. And the reasons we still kind of are fuzzy on. However, prices aren't getting any cheaper anytime soon. And so I think this likely has something to do with it. I wanted to bring you guys this too from Stéphane Hubert with regards to Ripple partner SBI. SBI, one of the largest investors in Ripple, has announced that it has developed a technology with Corda to verify the authenticity of products with NFC and RFID chips connected to blockchain addresses. The first product to be tested with the technology is Japan Sake. So they are actually developing a new technology here, focusing on traceability on the Corda blockchain, and SBI, as we know, one of the biggest Ripple investors. New services to prevent unauthorized unauthorized distribution of sake. So this is big, right? Counterfeiting goods and items. VeChain, we know, is another cryptocurrency project that has been very successful in China specifically, but other parts of Asia as well, for traceability and supply chain management purposes. And so this crypto project here, before purchasing sake, touch the unopened born in the store with your smartphone, so you can just scan. And so it's just showing you the step-by-step process to track your authentic sake, if it is indeed authentic. So it's an interesting project, again, connected to Ripple Partner SBI, and they are going to be using Corda, as this mentions, a blockchain platform designed and implemented for business-to-business transactions by a consortium of over 350 financial institutions, regulators, central banks, and system vendors worldwide. So I thought this was interesting, a little side project, I suppose, for SBI. They're not just invested in one cryptocurrency company, they are broadening their wings also and investing in this technology, which will be built on the Corda platform. And it looks as though it's still in the process of being patented. Anyway, interesting news there from Stéphane Hubert. Also wanted to bring this up, guys, from XRP Crypto Wolf. Ripple has launched their 2022 value report. So this is a report just put out by Ripple talking about tokenization, management, and value of cryptocurrencies. And so, it's quite a lengthy report, likely written for their investors to, better understand what is going on in the crypto market and why Ripple, the company, is investing in other projects, for example, that have to do with NFTs, why they're funding this model, why they're building more on the XRPL. So it's lengthy. I will link it in the description of the video if you guys are interested. I just wanted to go down here and talk a little bit about, what was it? It was right down here, cryptocurrency and value management. The patterns we have noted throughout this report express themselves even more definitively here. There is again widespread interest and general consensus that crypto will drive tremendous change, resulting in multiple benefits, with optimism greatest in the Latin American corridor, though not far behind in other regions. And the latest barrier that financial institutions and enterprises see to increasing adoption and achieving those benefits is unclear regulation. So Ripple still, pointing this out, the unclear regulation from the SEC is really still what is hindering the adoption and ultimately what is hindering the value-added portion of cryptocurrencies. The more cryptocurrencies can get out there and do what they need to do to solve those problems, that's where the value is going to be added. And, if cryptocurrencies like XRP can't do what they're supposed to be doing, well, we're going to see it continually trading at 65, 70 cents, whatever it is, on the retail market, just based on basic supply and demand from retail traders, which, isn't really a lot. But the good news, guys, 76% of financial institutions expect to use crypto in the next 3 years. And, we are going to get a verdict from the SEC case. I know the other day we were hearing 2023, which, wasn't necessarily what a lot of us wanted to hear. However, the industry is still looking optimistic. 20% of global customers say they would only buy sustainable cryptocurrency. So that number's still fairly low, I guess. But eventually, I think once push comes to shove, we are going to see more global consumers and more industries deciding, okay, we need to get onto a cryptocurrency platform that is environmentally friendly, especially if, carbon credits enter into this whole mix and, taxing businesses that decide to pollute more. So, a sustainable solution. This is all part and parcel to the Great Reset and to their initiative, their climate change initiative, and their 2030 goals, guys. This is why I'm not selling all my cryptocurrency. When we do see a top, I am selling off a portion. However, holding for the long term, holding until at least 2030 is a prudent move, in my opinion. Again, everybody is different and everybody has different goals. But, this is where the big money is going to come. Apple didn't make huge gains essentially till the mid-2000s, and it had been an unimpressive company. At least its stock had been fairly unremarkable for the first 30 years, or 25 years at least. And then by 2004, with the advent of the iPod, things really took off, and then the smartphone, of course. That's what really got Apple's stock up and running. And I think we're going to see similar things for the crypto industry with certain projects, XRP included. So this is Ripple's report. Again, guys, I will link this in the description of the video. There's also Flare, right, which is going to be built on the XRPL. The Flare launch is independent from Ripple's lawsuit. This brought to us by XRP_Crow here at Stetus on Twitter. And this is just a quote from Hugo Fillion. The case against Ripple does not determine the Flare launch date. So they are still firm on their date, July 4th, 2022. We've been expecting this for a while, and I guess a lot of us are still expecting our FLR Spark tokens, which we've been waiting for since 2020. I think it's been almost 2 years now. But Hugo Fillion just tweeted this out a couple of days ago. Flare and Songbird are being built to support interoperability for the entire blockchain space, F-assets for non-smart contract tokens, and Layer Cake for smart contract tokens. The case against Ripple does not determine the Flare launch date. So for those of you guys worried that maybe Flare was going to be pushed into 2023, well, it is not. Hugo Fillion has just updated us on this. Also this, guys, from the Wrath of Kahneman, again, back to the whole issue of carbon and the combat against climate change. Well, this recent NBC piece is about capturing carbon in concrete by Carbon Cure, a recently announced Ripple partner. So Carbon Cure, a Ripple partner, and here's what they recently released. Carbon Cure, Ripple, and Invert strike the world's largest deal for carbon removal via mineralization. So carbon removal headlines are rolling out this week. 3 companies, Invert, Ripple, and Carbon Cure Technologies, have signed a carbon credit purchase agreement for permanent carbon removal through carbon mineralization. The agreement is worth $30 million and marks the largest investment to date in durable, verifiable carbon mineralization and storage. Boy, that is a mouthful. Carbon Cure is a company founded in 2012 that offers a sustainable solution for the production of concrete. Its technology is still nascent and injects captured CO2 into fresh concrete, where it is immediately mineralized and permanently locked away, never to return to the atmosphere ever. So it's an interesting, innovative solution, I suppose, for carbon emissions. Again, though, the carbon issue, the climate change issue, this is one of the bigger initiatives for Ripple and XRP, the cryptocurrency, one of the first ones that was created that was moving away from proof of work all those years ago. And so here's just another project where they talk about removing carbon from the atmosphere and neutralizing it in concrete. So innovative, interesting. I will link this in the description if you guys are interested in reading the full article. Michael at Val5 Links posted this. So back to, looking at the macro perspective of the market. The day-to-day is going to get scary. No doubt it is going to get scary because, when we see our portfolio dip by 5, 10, 15%, it gets a little frustrating, especially since we've been waiting for so long. And even if I just bring up the Bitcoin Fear and Greed Index, let's see where it's at today. I don't actually know where it's at today, but I'm guessing fearful. Yeah, 23. So 23 is extreme fear. Yesterday we were at 24, and last week we were at 24. Last month we were neutral because last month we were in and around the same area, but we were moving to the upside. And then by the end of March we were at a high, a localized high for Bitcoin, $48,100 before it came toppling back down again. So we're going to see this, guys, a lot for micro trading, but the general outlook isn't looking so bad. So again, wanted to thank Michael for posting this. This is an interview, or at least a transcript, from macro guru Raoul. He was recently on, I think it was, BitBoy's channel, and he says that while he's still bullish on crypto, the markets need a shot in the arm to ignite the next leg of the bull market. So he is of the opinion that there is still one leg up for cryptocurrency. And, this is not the top, even though we are seeing, a 5% decline for Bitcoin or whatever it has been today. This is still not the top, and he is very confident that we are not going to see lower lows for Bitcoin and lower lows for the altcoin market. What he says is this: I actually think that we're still probably in kind of the first phase of the next bull leg up. That's what it feels like to me, but we need to see something change. What is the thing that's going to change that? My guess is if the US economy or the global economy starts weakening, then the market is going to say, oh, there's going to be less rate hikes than expected, and therefore that tends to be good for crypto or technology, kind of Cathie Wood style technology investments. I think at the margin, it's those kinds of things. The macro guru also said that institutions are continuing to invest in the crypto space, even though the number of retail investors is dwindling. So that is interesting. The big money is still moving its way into crypto, whereas the small guys, you and me, we're taking our money out of crypto. Well, not me, and probably not you, but the small investors taking their money out of crypto because they are feeling just this. They are feeling the fear that, it's at 23 and they're seeing the market decline. And, although these are very, very small declines in the grand scheme of things, people are getting scared. And, he's also mentioning that it is a result of inflation. Things are costing more money, so people are thinking to themselves, whereas I mentioned at the beginning of this video, people may be using their crypto to pay for groceries and stuff like that. People are also taking their money out of crypto to be able to have fiat to pay for groceries and stuff like that. So retail came out in May, and the reason they came out in May was because inflation started rising, and so people had less money in their pocket. Let's also not forget, back in May, okay, right over here, was the beginning of that downfall and the beginning of inflation. And so people were starting to feel the heat, and so they took money out at that time, all-time highs at that time, bringing the market down 50%, if you guys remember from last year. He goes on to say, we just saw less activity from retail, but the institutions have been there. I'm seeing institutions set allocation. I'm speaking to all the biggest pension funds, family offices, banks, everybody, and they're all setting themselves up. People are starting to allocate capital. Powell also says that retail traders will return once the crypto markets start showing signs of life again. So that's the other thing. Once we start to see that uptrend and once we start to see all-time highs, FOMO kicks in, right? And we start to see that in waves, as he describes down here. People keep thinking there's going to be a wall of money where one day everybody comes in at once. It doesn't work that way. It's like a tide that comes in before you know it. You're in that deep. Parabolic moves happen once you start to see the price move. I know that sounds ridiculous, but right now, retail will come back if they sense they can make money, but they won't do it if they can't, because they can't take the risk. Because we're seeing inflation, right? Grocery prices up, gas prices up, all that stuff is really hitting people's pocketbooks. But you know, at the end of the day, once they start to see that initial wave, they jump in late, right? They ride the wave, FOMO kicks in. The exact wrong time to buy is when most retail players will end up buying. And so this is the theory. So he says down here, just to reiterate, my guess is if the US economy or global economy starts weakening, then the market is going to say, oh, there's going to be less rate hikes than expected, and therefore that could be the catalyst for the crypto market. So in a separate tweet here from Raoul Pal, he says, I think the big surprise on the near-term horizon is a collapse in economic growth in the US. He just posted this yesterday. The SPX is pricing ISM at 50, and so he's just demonstrating that with some graphs here. The dollar is pricing ISM around 52. But the bond market are pricing current ISM, not future ISM, and it's not clear if the equity market has further downside or the dollar further upside. But commodity inflation peaked a while ago, and the China business cycle suggests that growth might be lower than most expect. So my view, he goes on to say down here, is that we are rapidly approaching an inflation point where peak inflation fears give way to lower inflation and fast deceleration growth. That will change the structure of the markets, but first we need to see if we get a correlation of one event in the coming weeks. The answer to higher prices is demand destruction. The Fed is a sideshow, as the markets have already taken rates up so far as to invert the yield curve, and inflation is acting as a huge monetary tightening. If growth slows rapidly, commodity prices will fall. And the thing I've got my eye on right now is oil. This pattern could be a wedge, but I also think it's more likely to resolve as a GMI crash pattern, bringing oil back down to $70 or $80 per barrel. But time will soon tell. So he is saying here, you know, the market is looking robust now, but at any moment, we could see a move to the downside, which would ultimately weaken the market, bringing cryptocurrency prices up further. I also just wanted to bring this up, guys. It's kind of a little sidebar. I know the Digital Asset Investor did do a video on this yesterday. The fact that there were some companies that were shorting XRP at the height of the bull run, the last bull run back in January of 2018. But did you know who else was shorting XRP? Well, we know suspicious activity has happened at Multicoin Capital, suppressing the price of XRP. So now we have to look in all directions, including foreign governments. Nirvana Capital, an early investor in Ethereum based out of Beijing, and a Multicoin connection. So this coming from Matthew Liny. Nirvana Capital is a San Francisco, Beijing-based venture that focuses on blockchain fintech investment and incubation, and they are connected to the Ethereum Foundation. You can see over here, former Nirvana Capital partner Mabel Jiang joins Multicoin Capital as executive director. Well, did you also know Mike Novogratz shorted XRP? This from Notorious XRP here on Twitter. I bet you dimes to donuts, they all shorted XRP. They all had inside information, especially when you are at the center of it all. Listen to this.
There's a lot of information.
The other price.
They all knew, even Mike Novogratz, who said, well, we were short XRP. The connection to the Ethereum Alliance, I don't know if you guys know, but Mike Novogratz's former roommate in college was Joe Lubin. So we've got the Multicoin connection. Mike Novogratz also saying we were short XRP back in January of 2019 at the height of the altcoin rally during the last bull run. So just a little side note there, guys. I still think we are in a good space for cryptocurrency to rally. Macro guru Raoul Pal, still very bullish, but we have to keep an eye on what the markets do, the US markets in particular. That's just my opinion, but I want to hear what you guys think. Please subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Like the video if you like the content I'm providing. I always love hearing your comments. See you in the next one, guys.